o'clock. Over to you.
Okay, hello, I'm going to talk about getting learners to record, reuse and remember vocabulary. And this leads on quite nicely from what Marie was saying about getting learners to write vocabulary down and practice it. I've been working on training learners to keep vocabulary notebooks for the last few years, and I think it's a really worthwhile thing to do. So today I want to share some of my experiences with you, talk about some practical ideas and techniques for helping learners to record vocabulary notebooks, and also some of the challenges that I've faced and how I've overcome them as well. So before we start, can I ask you to type in the chat box and let me know if this is something you already do with your learners? Do you keep vocabulary notebooks as part of your classes? Yeah. Oh, okay, so Lily has got very good study skills. Okay. So, why ask learners to record vocabulary in a systematic way? I'm not going to focus on the theory too much because I want to talk more about the practicalities of implementing this in the class. And at the end there'll be some links if you want to read more, so you can look at those and follow those. So firstly, vocabulary has been shown to be really important for language learning. It can be especially important to higher level learners for improving and developing their language skills, and having a greater range of vocabulary helps learners to express themselves accurately in the way that they want to. Secondly, keeping a vocabulary notebook means thinking about what to record and how to record it, and this involves learners in the learning process, which can lead to better learning. Keeping a vocabulary notebook also means learners are encouraged to explore vocabulary thoroughly, and again this leads to deeper processing, which can lead to better learning. Finally, I find learners need to be shown how to record vocabulary because they just don't know how. They might scribble a translation onto the corner of the course book and then never look at it again. They'll copy a dictionary definition they don't fully understand, or they'll make long lists of translations that later on don't make for a very useful, interesting or practical learning tool. So if we're going to ask learners to keep vocabulary notebooks, what kind of training do they need? What skills do they need to do this? So when I want a class to start keeping vocabulary notebooks, the first thing I always do is give them some practice in defining and describing vocabulary, because I find this is a skill that they often lack. So using picture cards for describing and guessing games, or crossword completion activities where they have to define words or phrases to a partner work really well. Learners also need to know how to get information about vocabulary as well. So I've often used web quest type activities to help learners discover all of the functions and features of a good online dictionary, and also to discover the range of information that they can get about vocabulary as well. Learners also need to know how to explore vocabulary thoroughly, so identifying parts of speech, word families, features of pronunciation like sounds, syllables, stress, synonyms, antonyms, and collocations as well. And this can be really daunting for learners if they're not familiar with these ideas and these terms. So I find that introducing these ideas through vocabulary they already know can be really helpful. So something that I've done with my classes is ask them to take a word or a phrase that they're very familiar and very comfortable with and explore it, and then take their findings as a guide and a template to then go off and explore vocabulary that they don't know, something that's new to them. And that's been really effective with the learners I've used it with. It's also helpful to start with guided and scaffolded activities. So here's something that I use with an elementary class. They were studying film genres. So I asked them to simply describe 6 film genres using a short, simple sentence, and then to give some examples of films that they'd seen or liked from that genre as well. And again, that was something that was really effective in my class. We also want to show them how to record vocabulary in an attractive and organised way and get them away from making those long lists of translations. So here are some examples of things that my learners have managed to achieve. The Vocabulary in Use series of books, I don't know if you have these in your school, but they have some great learner training activities at the start of the book. And then some course books as well, like Cutting Edge, for example, have learner training sheets in the teacher resource pack. However, if you've got an idea of what you want your learners to achieve, it's really easy to demonstrate this in class or make your own learner training activities as well. So, what are the challenges? We all know that keeping a vocabulary notebook is a really great idea for learners, but actually implementing it in class can be difficult sometimes for a variety of reasons. So I'm going to tell you the 3 biggest problems that I've had and some of the solutions that have worked for me. So the first difficulty that I've had is maintaining learner motivation over a term, over a course, over an academic year. Learners can see it as a chore sometimes or can feel that it becomes repetitive. So I find learners need lots of encouragement and support to help them to see that what they're doing is really valuable and that you value it as a teacher as well. So regularly commenting on their notebook entries can help to achieve this. So I'll often write in learners' notebooks to give them praise about all of the good work they're doing, or to give them some guidance as well, if I can see they're struggling with particular features of recording vocabulary. It also helps to maintain motivation, to give them some kind of choice and control over the process. So encourage them to record vocabulary that they come across outside of the classroom on things that are relevant to them and interest them as well. So setting them activities that involve things that they already do outside of class to make it seem effortless, and also vary the activities so it doesn't become repetitive. So on the screen here is an example that I've used with one of my classes where I got them to listen to their favourite songs, something that they'd be doing already anyway, and then take some of the vocabulary and some of the lyrics that they didn't know and go off and investigate it. Other examples might be asking your learners to do this with a YouTube clip, an episode of their favourite TV series, or a blog in English. Another thing that can be challenging is ensuring that learners use their notebooks as a learning tool and refer back to them rather than recording the vocabulary, closing their books and then forgetting all about it. There are lots of simple vocabulary games that you can use in the class that don't take up much time. So things like Taboo, Pictionary, back to the board type activities where learners describe and guess vocabulary together work well. And then also other activities that involve more thought and more contextualisation of the language. So writing short stories together or creating dialogues and these kind of things. I also like to make a point of getting learners to look in their vocabulary notebooks before we do productive activities in class. So if we're going to do writing or speaking, I'll ask them to get out their vocabulary diary, have a look through at what they've recorded to see if there's anything useful that they can use in the classroom. The final challenge that I've found, and I'm sure that a lot of people have found this as well, is simply finding the time in class to dedicate to the setup of the notebooks and the practicing of the vocabulary as well. Consistency is really crucial if the notebooks are going to be useful and a valuable tool for learning. So therefore it's essential to make it part of your routine. So some ideas for doing this might be doing it for every unit or topic in the course book, doing it alongside vocabulary work that's in your course book or part of your course, asking learners to do it as weekly homework, or including vocabulary activities as your lesson warmer at the end of the lesson or part of your regular review. Learners can also take some of the responsibility as well by promising to record 2, 3, 4, 5 items of vocabulary each week that they come across. If this is something that you're interested in and you'd like to know more about, there are some links here on the screen for you to follow. As I said at the start, I think it's a really valuable thing to do. Building it into your routine and training learners can take a little bit of time, but I think it's well worth the effort. I've seen some great results with students taking more of an interest in vocabulary and also expanding their productive vocabularies as well. So I hope that you've seen something that you feel you can take away and use in your classes. But thank you very, very much for listening. I haven't included my email address here. However, if you want to talk to me, then I'll put my email address in the chat box, and obviously any questions, please ask and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you very, very much.
Wow, thank you, Lucy. As I keep saying, these are live links. So if you want to get those examples, click on them now. Or if you can't, then take Lucy, could you just mute your microphone for me? then take a screenshot of your of the screen as it is now. You will be able to download the slides, but as PDFs. But in the coming days, you won't be able to do it immediately. So thank you so much for Lucy and her talk. So glad that we got through that, because, as I say, we did have a number of computer issues during the week. So I'm glad we were able to get through that unscathed. If Lucy is going to go to the chat box now, if there are any questions, and we're coming up to our first break. So, as I said, the breaks are deliberately put in so we can catch up time. So we're obviously behind time. We'll catch up. We will start again at the top of the hour. So that means it's a 22-minute break. We're not going to close the room. So just feel free to stay around. Use the chat box to continue the conversation. Let me put what's coming up. Well, we'll start again at 11 o'clock UK time, 10 o'clock GMT. I put the time wrong on that slide. Ignore it. No, that's right. I'm going mad. It is 11 o'clock GMT. It's 12 o'clock UK time. So Juana's up next, and Juana has the most beautiful slide you'll ever see for a talk. So I suggest you, if you were planning to leave, I would cancel that and stay around to see what's going on. Bear in mind that those of you sharing emails and stuff into the chat box, bear in mind that we do record this session, so they do go into the recording. So you might just want to bear that in mind and not share too much, or just give out the wrong email as Lucy is doing now. So I'm going to put some music on, and we'll be back in 20 minutes with the next session.